Hey folks, you ever have one of those kind of days where you're just absolutely wiped out by the end of the day? Here it is, 11 o'clock at night. I've been running all day long. Got some great stuff today, but I'm literally just now getting started on the podcast. So I am going to show you the interview that I did tonight with a really interesting young lady from Venezuela who speaks great English, thank heaven, that we don't have to do any dubbing or subtitling or anything. And she's going to tell you what it was kind of like when she was a kid and what it's like today being Venezuelan here in Cucuta, Colombia, where there are more now Venezuelans than there are Cucuteños. And that's not a good thing. That's all coming up right here. Check out this interview.
This is the Hot Zone. Engaging with the news in a whole new way, international war correspondent Chuck Holton brings insight into areas of crisis and lets you help those affected.
My name is May, M-E-I, and my last name is Schmilinski.
That does not sound like a Venezuelan name.
No, I was born in Venezuela, but my mom and my father were born in Venezuela, but my grandparents were from Italy. Like they were born in the Second War. And my grandmother, my mom's mother, is from Brazil. She was also very poor when she was born. She was from a very poor family, like in the dictatorship from Brazil. So they, like, what? Yes, yeah, they moved like when they were like almost 30 years old. They moved to Venezuela, and in that moment, like the 70s, Venezuela was the best, like the best country in Latin America. They were the most developed country. The economy, like dollar and Bolivar was 1-to-1. So the economy was so strong. And the way they talked to me about Venezuela that time, it's just like magical. And they even say like nowadays they don't live in Venezuela, of course, because they don't have medicines, they don't have healthcare, they don't have food, they don't have anything. So, but they consider themselves as Venezuelans, even though they were born in Italy or Brazil. Yes.
But where do they live now?
My grandmother lives in Houston, Texas, and my grandfather lives in Madrid. The Venezuela I grew up in was not the Venezuela that my grandparents told me about, because when I was born in 96, and Chavez came in 98. So I can't even remember having another government. So I can only remember Chavez being president and now Maduro. But
So socialism is really the only government
the only government I know. But it's like a strange kind of socialism. In my perspective is that socialism doesn't work. I think the only city in the world that it kind of works is like Marinaleda in Spain, but you should research about it. It works because it is subsidized. So like the government subsidized. So it isn't really working. Like they're not.
Doesn't work.
But but Venezuela is just chaos. It's weird because like the government is totally centralized. Like all the powers, all the industries are centralized, and their circle, like their social circle, is it right? Social circle,
yes.
Like their families, and are the only ones that get the privileges. Like they get the, in Venezuela we don't have like exchange. Like you can legally exchange money or get dollars. So you have to go to government and get the dollars from them. They have different prices for the dollar, and they have like the
official rate.
Well, they have many official. So they have the 6.30. They used to have it like 2 years ago, 630 bolívares for $1, and the black market is like, I think, ¿a cuánto está el
like
dólar
3,000.
ahorita? 3
3
million.
3 million
Million per dollar.
per dollar.
Sí, 3 millones por dólar, creo. 3 millones de bolívares son 3 millones de pesos. Sí, exactly. Yeah, just like here, like 3,000. Oh, wait.
español.
Oh, it's just because
No,
they
I know
changed
that
it.
today.
Yeah, they changed
I
it.
got
It's
3,000.
3,000. Yeah, it's because they changed it. It used to be 3
Yeah, right.
million.
Yeah,
Now
they-
now it's crazy.
It's confusing because
Yeah,
they keep
it's
knocking off
really,
zeros.
really confusing. Yeah, it used to be, well, it was 3 million. Now it's 3,000. So, and they can give their friends that
Preferential rate.
exactly. So their friends, like military and just family, things like that, they can get cars and import things with that. And I know it by first hand because, well, I know people who's very close to the government, and they have done that for years. Like they get anything they want with that.
So they're automatically rich.
30 or I know it is higher, but like 2 years ago it was 630. Now it might be, I don't know, like 200. Like it's still very low. So they can get anything. So they are on the top of economy. They can have anything, while the people who has been working their whole lives, like my grandparents, who were really poor when they got there, they had nothing at all, and they had to work. Like they had the chance in that Venezuela they knew to grow economically, culturally, educationally. They could give my parents and their children the opportunities they deserved, and the opportunities they didn't have in their countries at that time. So now that doesn't exist. When I was born, like I can remember Venezuela, of course, was not the thing it is now.
Yeah.
Of course, you could go to the supermarket and get like 5 kinds of harina pan, like to make arepas, or you could get 6 kinds of milk, like that. It's normal, right? That should be like that.
Yeah.
And that's why they get so surprised when they come here. How old are you? ¿Cuántos años tienes? 25. Bueno, wow. Yo tengo 22. I'm 22.
Yeah.
So, I think they can remember when she was very young that she could find that in the supermarket. So we've seen the whole transformation to what it is now. But my little sister, who's 14 years old, she doesn't know that. Like when we first came here, like when we moved here, finally, we were living here. Like here's a safe. We could say it's a safe neighborhood. Yeah. And it was like 2 p.m. and we said like, Melissa, could you go to get water, like a bottle of water, like down and there was a small store.
Okay.
Yeah.
Mini super.
Yeah. And she was like, what? Like alone? And that by myself? And I was like, yeah, like it's just right on the corner. You just have to. And she was like, no, but how will I, like by myself? It's so dangerous, mate. That I can do that. And I was like, oh my God, of course she doesn't know anything that's not like dangerous.
She doesn't know anything that's not Venezuela.
Yeah, that's not Venezuela.
So
like she's been in Brazil for like vacation, but she's never been on the street alone, and she's so scared because when we lived in Venezuela, like the last 2 years, we came here. We had to come here because so many things happened to us, like I wasn't there, but happened to my parents and happened to my little sister. She was only 10 years old, and she had already seen how some thieves or we don't know what they wanted, because we have a farm there. We have like an Airbnb.
Okay.
Yeah, it's big, and it's maybe known in Venezuela. Like,
Nice touristic place.
yeah, it is. It's totally on the nature, and it's like eco tourism.
Okay.
Yeah, but we of course it is a farm, and we have employees, right, who work with the cows and the animals and things like that, and they live right next to us, like in a house for them. And one night, I remember I was living in Valencia. They were living in Barinas, where the farm is. I was studying, and I was calling my mom. I was going to tell her something about, I don't know, like about my day, and she wouldn't get the phone. I was like, okay. And later, she gets the phone, and she's like speaking so low, and I was, hey, what's happening? And she's like, there's a shooting right here in the farm. I am hiding with your little sister, like on the the top of the house, like how do you, the roof? No, not the roof,
No,
like
the attic.
the attic. Yeah, they were in the attic. My mom had to learn how to hold a rifle. She had never done that before, but my stepfather had to teach her how to, because he said, like, wait here, hide here. I have to go out, because they started hearing a shooting, like where the employees live. And my mom wouldn't know what was happening. She was like talking to me, like almost crying, with my little sister next to her, holding her with a rifle in her hands. And she wouldn't know what was happening. And what happened after all is that we don't know why some people came, they broke into the employee's house, and they started shooting. Maybe they were looking for someone, like some of them, and they shot one of the little kids that were, he was the son of the cooker, like, yeah.
The cook.
And he was 6 years old. They shot him in the femur and the tibia in Spanish. The two of his 6 years old. And they also almost killed one of the other employees, because he had like the cell phone here in the pocket, and the bullet came, and it was a miracle.
Just missed it.
Literally, like it was like you could see the hole in his, like, going.
Wow.
Yeah. And my mom was like, we're in our own house and we can't be safe.
This was
What's
2 years ago?
happening? It was like 3 years ago.
3 years ago.
Yeah, it was 3 years ago. And that year, a series of events happened. They were like eating, I don't know, empanadas on the street. And my little sister was there, 10, 11 years old. And then the robbers come, and there were like 20 people eating on the street. And they put the revolvers, guns against their heads, like my little sister, and just gave us everything you have, like cell phones, rings, anything, like. And she had to see that. And we also had like a little small restaurant, and they also broke into the restaurant. It all happened in the same year, and it's not it's not, it was not the first time that something like that happened to us, and we're not a wealthy family. We're just like middle, maybe like working class, yeah. And I have so many people that I know that has been kidnapped. My mom was kidnapped when I was 9 years old. So that was in 2005. So this is not happening now.
It's worse now.
Yeah, it every year it gets worse. Now it is like survival. Before it was like, well, if you're unlucky, maybe you'll get kidnapped, but now it is very possible. Probable. Yeah.
Absolutely.
And
so tell me about the different ways that all the different things that you've seen Venezuelans do here in Cucuta to try to survive.
Yeah. The thing is now that, of course, like in every country, there's good and bad people, of course. There's people who rob, there's people who steal, there's people who work, there's people who help people.
Yeah.
So there are people, and it's like that. So what happens with Cucuta in Colombia specifically? Why? Because of course it is next to Venezuela, and you don't need a passport to come here. So anyone from Venezuela can come here. That's what happens. So of course a lot of bad people will come here and will kill and will like it happened maybe years ago with Colombians who used to go to Venezuela, and it happens in every country, and it happens in every crisis.
Now you've got more Venezuelans than Cucuteños here.
Well, maybe it's maybe like
500,000 Venezuelans here now. From what I'm being told. So, but the point is not that.
Yeah.
I mean, we know that the more people you put in a small space, the worse crime is going to get. Things like that. What I'm interested in is it's just the incredible ingenuity of the Venezuelans. She sold her hair.
Yes.
I see people. Of course, I've seen a lot of Venezuelan women working as prostitutes.
Yeah, of course.
And then everything in between.
Yeah.
So, tell me about how Venezuelans are surviving here once they come to Colombia.
Yeah, most of them, they have to work maybe in, like if they're lucky and get a real job, illegally, but real job, it would be like a restaurant. And I know many people, like most of the girls who make manicures, like in salons or hair shops. I don't know. Yeah, most of them are Venezuelans, and I know people who are like doctors or architects, or like they went to university and now they're doing nails, and most of them, they have to do that because they won't get the job they need, like the job they should have, what they studied here, because it is illegal. So so most of them, they just work in restaurants, like maybe in pet shops. I'm saying like the ones I know by firsthand. Okay. So pet shops, hair shops, like supermarkets.
And the ones you see on the street.
Restaurant. Yeah, those are the ones who don't have luck to get a real job. So because of course there's not the quantity of job that we need. It's overpopulated. So of course it will happen. Most of them will be on the street, sadly. And most of them are just like selling candies or selling fruit, mandarins.
I saw them knocking mangoes off a tree.
Yeah, and a lot of them, that's like something I tell them like, please don't do it. Like they're cleaning your yeah, and I don't have a problem with it. The problem is that they clean my window like 5 times a day. So I'm like, please, like it is already clean. Yeah, it's clean. So like, and we can't also like, I'm working, I'm studying, I'm not rich, right? So of course I can help every people who crosses my way every day, because it would be like 5,000 pesos a day, and it's like multiply it for 30 days, and I'm like, well, I try to help you by it's just like you said it. I try not to give them the fish, but help them to fish, maybe like in the way I can, and maybe like sometimes I talk with some of them. We also have many people who we know who's Venezuelan here, who used to be like friends or things like that, and we try to help them to find a job or things like that. But there's not much that we can do. Or maybe like when they're asking for when they're asking for help with like medicines or things like that, we all, in my university, we all are like, well, let's get this medicine, or and we take it to the place there.
So you all help each other.
Yes.
And Venezuelans helping Venezuelans. That's
yes.
And so, what do you think is what's going to solve this problem?
I don't know if I should say it, because it's look, I think there's a hard way. It won't be easy. It won't be fast. Not at all. It will take, I think at least it will take, like in the good hands. If Venezuela, like right now, the government goes out and someone who's prepared, who has the capacity, and who's smart and has smart people around him or her, I think it will take like 15 years, like in a good scenario, like in the best scenario, because I think the worst harm that this government has made to people, it's not economically. It is not economically. I think the economy in good hands, it could be good enough, like with like in 5 years, but socially, people, I study psychology, and we always talk about it with my teachers, and people now is so full of anger. Opposition, officialists, like everyone, including me, maybe. And I'm not an angry person, not at all. But that's what the government, like, sembró. How do you say it? Sembrar. They planted in every mind and soul. Like, people are so full of anger and they're so individualist. They just, of course, they're trying to survive. So you're in the first place. Yep. And everyone else, it's just everyone else. Yeah.
And you're right. That'll take a generation or more.
It will take, luckily, a generation.
If we're lucky.
If we're lucky.
Say that again.
If we're lucky, it will take a whole generation to go back to what Venezuela used to be when my grandparents chose to live there and choose it as a home.
The Hot Zone is produced by Amy Holton and Livefire Media. Copyright 2019.